about that. Me, I think relationships are wonderful. My friend even said the other time that she thinks I'm a better person when I'm in a
Just came back.
relationship.
None of them are going to.
Oh
I don't think
goodness.
I'm probably dead as far as they're concerned. I'm joking. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah,
Because every relationship is a lesson,
Oh, so
and every relationship teaches you about yourself. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out in these past relationships, as I said, that I fell in love with. Would see what was the point of that, but maybe, hopefully, by the 31st of December, because after that, I'm not thinking about it.
is it? Oh, why are you putting a time limit?
Hi, it's Sips,
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am Bonga.
and this is the Unintentional podcast. Welcome back, everybody. And as you can see, we're on camera now, but Bonga sadly is not on camera.
No, I'm not because I'm camera shy. But I think I can hold it down with the voice for the most part, and let's see where it goes, I suppose. But yeah, hoping to have a good show.
Yes, definitely. And as you can see, we're not here alone. We have a very special guest.
Yes, Nosipho Zamisa Zuma, an attorney of Zamisa Attorneys Incorporated. Welcome to the show, Nosipho.
Oh, hi, Bonga. Hi, CP. Thank you so much for having me. Hi to the listeners as well. It's a great honor to be here with you guys today.
It's a great honor to have you. Thank you for agreeing to be on the show as well.
It's only a pleasure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said she must come onto the show, and can you just tell us, your relationship with her?
Yeah, if you won't mind, I think I was helping her with some work for her law firm. And so it was a freelance gig, right? So I was helping out. And of course, I was supposed to be paid for the job, right? But I was like, no, man, our podcast is still new. We want to get as much guests as possible. So why not, instead of you paying me, why not come on the show as a guest? And she agreed, but she was like, she was reluctant, right,
Yeah.
at first. And she was like, no, but maybe we can do like a Women's Day thing or something, a woman empowerment. We'll see, where we can fit in and so on. And then helped her with the work. We finished. She was happy. And then at the end, she was like, look, it's not right, Uguti, that you leave without having money. So here, for your troubles and stuff. So that's what happened. And here we are. So I guess even though I took the money, she agreed to be on the show regardless. So, and I'm glad, so.
Thank you for coming. So you were talking about women empowerment. Is that something you're passionate about?
Indeed, I am very much passionate about women empowerment. So I believe we need as much empowerment as women. Yes.
Are you involved in any empowerment programs?
Unfortunately, not. One would expect that I should be looking at my age and stuff, but I'm at a stage in my life where there's very much going on. So I don't have a lot of time on my hands where I could just freelance and do other things. I am a mother of two, a wife, and I'm running a practice. So in as much as I would like to be a part of some forum or group of women empowerment, but at this point, unfortunately, I don't have the time to engage in same. But that does not negate the fact that I'm very much for it. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. And our podcast is mainly about PMB and the happening in events in and around Pietermaritzburg. Did you grow up here?
Yes, I was actually born in Pietermaritzburg, grew up in Pietermaritzburg, studied in Pietermaritzburg, and I'm still here today.
Yeah.
So how has it been? How was your journey?
It was a lovely one, I must say. I'd say I was just a little bit privileged to grow up in the CBD of Pietermaritzburg. So I grew up where people call it Etawin. So the things that usually become the disadvantages of being in PMB did not really affect me that much because I was not exposed to such. So I grew up in a very good environment. Well, at least at that time, it was still a very good environment. It was not as hectic as it was today. So I had, I'd say, a good childhood. Not the best, but a good childhood. Yes.
And in terms of your kids, you know, you want them to grow up in the same environment or similar environment that you grew up in.
Unfortunately, it has changed over time. So I would not like for my kids to grow up in the same environment that I grew up in. Because of time, it's no longer conducive to growing a child. Like I've just stated, I grew up in the CBD of town. Today, the CBD of town has changed to be, I don't even know what to call it.
It's gone to the dogs.
Yes.
It has gone to the dogs. It's a horrible place. I mean, I remember once actually seeing an elderly white woman who came to my workplace for services and stuff. Sadly, she was overly concerned about the crime in the area and so on. And so they have documents being delivered to the post office, right? So she was like, no, I'll no longer go to the post office. Rather, keep your documents, email me, and I'll come here because I do not feel safe in town. So to your point, yeah, it is sad, you know, what our CBD is like. It is disappointing. But I have seen on Facebook at least, Msunduzi municipality, that they are trying. They have these campaigns of cleaning up the town and stuff, but not much of a difference. But hey, yeah.
I don't think, Bonga, it's much about the actual cleanliness of the town. I think it's just the people that are there right now.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
okay.
Over and above what the actual environment looks like. It's the people that I'd be associating my children with.
Yep.
Okay.
So I do not want them to be a part of the people that are there now. Not because I feel like they are better than them, but I just feel like they deserve better of a childhood than what they get and experience that side today.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I was just so sad. I saw they were closing down, was it Theatre Lane? Because it's just deteriorated so much and there's no upkeep, so they decided to shut it down. And I was like, oh wow, you know, I have so many childhood memories just walking through there and the businesses that were there. It's not the same.
So here's a question though. If not the CBD environment, what environment ideally would you like for your kids to enjoy and live in?
I like the rural area.
Okay.
One would wonder why, because I did not get that during my childhood, and people assume the rural areas are the pits of wherever.
True.
I beg to differ. There are suburbs, nice suburbs in Pietermaritzburg. There's Wembley, there's Chase Valley, there's Hilton and stuff. My biggest concern with those places, it's the forever going payment of rates.
Oh yeah.
The bond payments.
True.
Bond repayments take for a good 20 years if you could pay in accordance with the installment agreement. So I don't think I want to have myself committed for 20 years to paying for something. What if 10 years down the line, the place is no longer what it was when I came in and I want to move out? Now I have to go through the whole legal process of bond cancellations, finding another place and all sorts. I like the rural areas because, first of all, it's very peaceful.
Okay.
It's a very peaceful environment. Secondly, rural areas aren't as what they were portrayed to be back in the days. There's very good infrastructure now. You find running water in the yard, there's electricity. So in terms of the basic necessities of life, they would still very much receive everything, but also they'll be in a safer environment as opposed to being in the suburbs or in the towns where there's shootings and drug dealings and all of those things. So I prefer the rural areas because of that, and also for the fact that when you buy what we call a site, most people know it as a stand, you build a house in accordance to your expectations, your dreams, and what you want. Your dream house, which you would probably pay close to 2 million for, I could build in a fraction of that amount. And I will not have to pay anything on a monthly base. I won't be paying rates. I will not be paying for a bond. With the economy of South Africa today, the repo rate's going up almost every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
You go into a bond knowing fully well that you can afford the 8,000 Rand, that's the initial installment that you need to pay. And then next thing, the repo rate hits a hike. And instead of 8,000 rand, you now need to pay 9,000 rand.
Yeah.
But your income is still the very same. So where on earth are you going to now chip the 1,000 rand
that.
for? You
Yes.
see. So I believe the rural areas, it's just a very good place. Also, if at any point, God forbid, I pass away, my kids will be catered for and they will have a home that no one can take from them.
True.
No matter what debt I may have involved myself in, SARS and whoever creditor comes, they can never take away the home from my kids.
Fair
So
enough.
it's forever there for them.
Yeah, true.
Some financial wisdom right there. And in terms of, talking about finance, the economy of South Africa, even in Peter Merritt's book, Bonga and I did a series about the youth, the unemployment and youth empowerment. So do you have like an opinion on, how the youth is being affected by unemployment?
Sadly, it's everyone, not just the youth. But to limit it to your question, I think it's so bad that we are trying to empower the youth, but we are also failing the youth at the same time. We are at a point where unemployment is the actual norm. You'd find more people unemployed than being employed. Hence, I opened the firm. I did not want to be a part of the statistics of unemployment.
Yeah.
So, in as much as they are being affected by everything that's happening, but I also feel that the youth is also affecting themselves. They're not taking any initiative. There's so much that can be done within Pietermaritzburg on its own. So I just feel like unemployment is affecting the youth in terms of the socioeconomic issues, but they too have a huge hand in it because they have the opportunities right in front of their eyes, but sometimes the opportunities are just not too good for them.
But in terms of that, what would you say the opportunities are?
A lot. People are talented out there. People are talented. You find, I know some of my peers are like, we can't all be opening law firms.
Right.
But there are so many fish in the sea. Why not open the law firm? Why wait to be employed? As we speak today, there's hundreds of students in universities writing final year exams within the law field.
Yeah.
Next year, there'll be graduates looking for articles. Are you now telling me that in 2 years' time, there are going to be firms waiting patiently to employ everyone?
No.
Definitely not. So I believe they should take initiative. Also, be in a position to settle. Settling is not the worst one can do in their lives. It's understanding the situation we are currently facing as a country. When I say settle, I'm not saying that you are tying yourself to that particular thing forever. But if today I go do a degree in psychology, for instance, and I walk out and I cannot find employment and it's difficult for me to open a firm because of capital and all other things, but there is a job or a vacant position of a receptionist. Yes, I'm a qualified psychologist, but why not go for that particular post to secure employment? You see? So I feel that people just find things to be not up their alley and they'd rather wait for what they studied. Sometimes you study something that you are not even destined for because at the end of the day, we are merely navigating our lives, but God is deciding on it.
Amen.
So I could be there studying to become a doctor and it's not what God wanted for me. It's not part of the things that I was destined for in my life. So I could have the degree, be a qualified doctor in terms of the papers. But if God wanted me out there being a priest, that's what's going to happen. So allow for change in your life. Don't be too stagnant in the things that you want. Don't be too strict and confined to a very small box. Just to be open. So that you find your place.
Wow, those are some great words of wisdom right there.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. Let's talk about your career as an attorney, of course. Start with, why did you want to go into the field of law?
I actually did not want to go to the field of law.
Okay.
I wanted to do hotel management.
All right.
Maybe because I like food. Maybe I did not really understand what it was. I just thought it's about cooking and eating at that particular point. But I remember saying same and being asked, okay, so you're going to go into hotel management? I'm like, yes, because you like it. I'm like, yes, because I like it. And I was asked a question, okay, and you just want to cook for the rest of your life? I'm like, yeah. So you'll cook at work and you'll cook at home as probably a wife one day, or even a person that stays on their own.
What a harsh way to put it, by the way.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh, no, I actually don't want to cook the whole day and even cook for myself at night. And they also asked me a very interesting question. Okay, so now tell me, which hotel is sitting out there without a hotel manager that's waiting for you? And I said, I don't know. And that's when I realized, no, maybe they have a point. And I was told, you know what? You are not for that. You aren't for a confined space. You are there for the people. You interact very well with people. Do something that's going to bind you to society. And I was asked then, why don't you do law? You're so vocal. You're so outspoken. At school, you stand up for everyone. Why not go into law? And I was like, okay, law it is. And I just applied. Yes.
And you got in and you studied.
Yes. And then I got in. Unfortunately, in as much as I'm from, or I grew from the CBD in PMB, I'm not from a very wealthy family.
Okay.
So when I was in matric, I had to then apply for a bursary to go and study the said law degree. And I remember very well, it was the closing dates for the bursary application. I ran quickly to Natalia building.
Okay.
And I got there, I found a gentleman that to date, I feel I owe my career to.
Wow.
His name is Siazondi.
Okay.
So I got there, he was very willing to help. I remember I did not even have a copy of my school reports. That was part of the requirements. And he was like, what are you going to do? But I had my original. I said, take the original. I'll go back to school and I'll ask them to reprint it for me. And he told me, if you don't get this bursary, because it's not given that if you apply, you're going to get it. If you don't get this bursary, are you still going to try other means to go and study? And I said yes. And it's like, okay. And then it was in December that I received a phone call where they said you received the bursary.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes. And that was it.
Just in time for school.
Yes. It was
Well in
just
time.
And
Well-
surprisingly, I was not, it was the only bursary that I applied for. I was not concerned about not receiving any correspondence. It was just life as normal for me. I'm one person that is almost never concerned about anything.
Did you believe, though, that you were going to go to law school next year?
I did not.
Okay.
Like I've just said, I'm one person that's almost never concerned about anything.
Okay.
I just freelance and it just happens.
It just happens.
Yes.
Right.
So then I went into law school and studied, yes.
Yeah.
And then since then, I mean, do you believe that now this is the path that you were actually called to do?
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think there's any other fraternity that could be more suitable for me as a person other than...
And then, upon completing your degree, of course, you did articles of clerkship. How easy or difficult was it securing articles? I know that for some, it's extremely difficult. Some don't even get articles. They end up working jobs that are not related in any way to law. I mean, we were talking earlier about the youth unemployment issue.
Yes.
So for you, how easy, how difficult was it securing articles? And then talk about your experience then in articles.
You know, Bonga, when I tell the story to people, people believe it's an outlier. Like it's something that's not there.
Shout out Malcolm Gladwell, by the way.
Yeah. So I applied for articles. I think it was in August that I applied for articles.
Okay.
I applied, let's just, because I don't remember the days, to be quite honest, the exact dates. Let's just say, for instance, it was a Monday. I applied on Monday. I applied at Tatham Walks. And when I went to drop off my CV, the receptionist told me they're not hiring.
Wow.
Yes, they're not hiring. And I'm like, no problem. You can just keep my CV for when you are hiring.
Yeah.
Following morning, I receive a phone call. Hi, it's Ingrid Edmonds from Tatham Works. We received your CV. You are applying for articles. Yes. When can you come for an interview?
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, interview. I can come now. That's what I said. I
Wow.
said I can come now. And she's like, no, not now, but when can you come? Like anytime. And she said, I'm taking my son to the doctor today, this afternoon, and how about we meet tomorrow?
Okay.
And I said, no problem. And funny enough, that very same day, my first son, became very ill and he was hospitalized.
Oh, sure.
So he was a child back then. He was a few months old, to be quite honest, because I got him finally off my varsity. The very same year that I applied for articles. And he was then admitted. And you know, with hospitals, if the child is not of age, then
you have
you
to
stay as a
stay.
older mom. Yeah. So I then went to hospital with him. And the following day, I have an interview. I'm in hospital with this child. And I'm thinking, what on earth am I going to do? And then I just called his nanny because he had a nanny. I called his nanny and I was, can you not babysit him at hospital because I need to go? And she came and I went straight to Tatham Works for the interview. And you know, if something was meant to be, it's just
Meant to be.
yes. My interview was so nice. I did not even feel that I was in an interview.
Wow.
They were so friendly. They asked me questions that were not even related to the law field. I think the only question that they asked me was about the public protector, Tulima Donsela, at that time.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I think that was the only question they asked me that was linked to the law field. And after that, I left not knowing what exactly was going to happen because, yeah.
You didn't talk about yourself in 5 years. You didn't talk about your strengths and your weeknesses. You spoke about
No.
Tulima Donsela. So how are you going to tell whether or not
And
I'll
then
get the job?
I remember Duncan asking me about sports.
The one of the directors at Tatham
Yes,
Works,
he's one of the directors at Tatham. He asked me about sports and I walked out so puzzled. I was not sure what was happening. And I also figured it's my first interview in life. I had never been into an interview. So I thought maybe it is what it's supposed to be. But also, why are they not asking me how I'm going to work? What value am I going to bring to the firm and stuff? I walked out. It was it was actually a Wednesday. Thursday, I got a call. You got the job.
Wow.
So literally from the time I applied Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there was correspondence, and Thursday was you got the job.
From being told that there's no positions, you know,
Yes.
to getting the job in the
Yes.
same week. That's amazing.
Yes.
That is very impressive, yeah. And your articles journey, how was that?
It was very nice.
Okay.
It was very nice. I didn't do as much as I had wanted to do, but that's simply because every firm has its way of doing things, and they also have their way of training candidate attorneys. So I would have loved to be introduced to criminal law in its practical sense, but unfortunately they don't deal with any criminal law. So it was very nice. There was great colleagues. The environment was very nice. I don't think at any point did I feel like I was bottled or caged. So it was very nice, I must say.
Okay.
And then when did you take the decision to open your own practice?
I took the decision to open my own practice during second year of articles. After I had received results from the board exams, then I spoke with my boss regarding the way forward in terms of the future, what their intentions were. And I found out how the firm actually works. And speaking with my peers also, I found out that it's not just Tatham that has that style, but it's almost every other firm out there. So if you are lucky enough to be retained, you build a practice within the practice.
Wow.
So yes, you are working for the firm, you are using the firm's name and everything, but you have fee targets. Fee targets meaning you go out there, you find clients, you do work in accordance to the fee target that they give you. So if, for instance, your fee target is 60,000 Rand, you need to raise that 60,000 Rand from the clients that you get.
In what space of time?
In a month.
In a month, okay.
So fee targets are monthly based.
All right.
Yes. So it's not just Tatham, it's mostly all the firms out there, because even my peers were in the very same position. But then to me, it bothered me that if I can go out there, find clients, raise fees, why don't I do it for myself? And that's when I took the decision to actually start the firm. So I was admitted on the 4th of March 2019. On the 5th of March 2019, I was in my own office.
What? Wow.
The very following morning. With no clients, nothing. I dressed up. I woke up like I was going to work. I dressed up formally, and I went there and I sat there and did nothing the whole entire day. I remember very well, because there was nothing to do. Yes.
So then how did you grow your client base, and how's it going now?
So what happened is, some people that know you would know that, hey, there's P there, an attorney, and if you need anything, just shout out, P can help you. She's very affordable, and at that time, my fees were very much affordable because I was just opening, and I wanted to build a good relationship with clients. So I had my first client, but I must say, from the time I opened my own practice, I've never had stress about rent or overheads of the office. I was lucky enough to start with a really luxurious office. My first office space was at 45 West Street. It was a property that belonged to my mom's boss.
Okay.
So they had a very nice boardroom. When I say luxurious, maybe it's an understatement. They had a very nice boardroom. And he was like, we don't actually use this boardroom for anything. It's just there. How about you rent it out as an office space? So it had the best furniture. I had the executive desk. And it looked so nice. People that walked in were confident in what they were going to get because of how it looked. Not because they knew me as an attorney and they knew the services that I rendered, the quality of the work that I produced. But they sort of looked at the space and they had the confidence that they were going to receive what they were looking for. So I paid rent, and not because he needed the money that I was paying for rent. I think it was just him teaching me responsibility, that in as much as you have this office space, this furniture that you are using, you must know that you need to pay, because that's how it works, and that's how you will know if the business is striving towards the right direction or not. Because if every income that comes in is just for my use as the owner or the only person that's there, then I'm not going to have any sense of responsibility. So then I actually I paid the rent. On a monthly basis, I paid rent. And then I moved offices because I required bigger space. That's when I hired a secretary. And for privacy, that I cannot consult with the client in an open space with the secretary hearing everything that's being said, then I had to move offices. Then I moved offices. And then I moved offices again when we expanded and had a legal consultant in the office. So I had hired a legal consultant, someone that's going to be able to interact and engage with clients even when I'm not in. Yes.
Is that Mr. Stolle?
No, that's Mr. Zuma.
Zuma, okay,
yes. Mr. Zuma is also my husband.
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay.
So he decided that he was going to join in because he's got a diploma in law.
Nice.
So he's going to join in as a legal consultant and saves me from having to pay thousands to someone else, yes. And he had a lot of time at his disposal because over and above him assisting in the legal field, he's got his own businesses. But at the same time, he has a lot of time at his disposal. So he came in and we needed a bigger space. So it was myself, him, and the secretary.
Okay.
And then we had to move again
Sheesh.
to where we currently are now. when we took in Mr. Sitole,
Okay.
our candidate attorney. And we had now been in a position where we required ourselves to have 3 offices. So we looked for a bigger office space. That is where we currently are now. And I must say, with Mr. Sitole, Mr. Zuma, and myself, it's going very well. It's going
That's
very
amazing.
well.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's something I'd like to say about your offices, like, because when we met,
Yes.
or when I came to you to help you with that small project, your offices were at the Park Lane Center, and they were really gorgeous, actually, like very well prepped. It looked very professional. In fact, I mean, you are a referral, right? I think one of our other colleagues referred me to you
Yes.
in terms of what the legal assistance that I give.
Yes.
And so I didn't know you from a bar of soap. But when I walked into your office, I was like, but this looks like a well-established law firm. Like, why do they need me, little old me kind of thing?
Yes.
So I was really impressed. How important was it for you for aesthetics, really, in for your offices at the time, and maybe even now? Like,
I believe it's the key, Bonga, to be honest.
yeah.
I think what people see as they walk into the office give them a full idea of what they're going to get. So in as much as we are a small firm, I think, next year is going to be the 5th year. The firm is going to be celebrating its 5th birthday.
Wow.
So I think in as much as it's a fairly young and small firm, but the same confidence that people get when they walk into the big firms, they need to get when they walk into us small firms.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a space where someone walks in and be like, hey, am I even going to get the assistance I need? Then they lose confidence in you as a person. Also, I'm a female. And I'm not sure if I'm going to say, fortunately for me, I'm not boldly built. So sometimes when people walk in, they don't even have confidence in me as an attorney because of how young I look. But the actual firm then sells itself to the person. So even now that we have moved from Park Lane where you and I met, we are at a space where we have tried our level best to have our offices speak volumes for us and the services that we render. So to the extent that in that particular space, we didn't have a boardroom. So now we have office spaces. It's 3 separate office rooms where we work privately, but we have a boardroom now where we consult with people. So we are trying our level best to fit in with the big firms, not to be seen as a smaller firm compared to the big firms, in as much as we are a smaller firm, but at the very least, we must have the same professionalism and have the same image as the bigger firms.
All right. Well, let's talk about some, I guess, experiences you've had since you've opened your practice. You did say that you guys have been at this for 5 years, well, approaching 5 years. What are some of the challenges that you've faced in your practice, and how did you overcome them, if you have?
It's actually not a lot. The main one is the stigma of being a female, especially a young female. And people of, I'd like to say our tribe,
Okay.
African people, that assume that if they are referred to an attorney, it's a big gentleman with a beard, a belly kind of vibes. So when they walk in and they see me as tiny as I am behind the desk, they sort of lose the confidence of being with an attorney. So that's one of the challenges, that people don't have confidence in you as a young female. But I think also it's important that at that very time when you realize that you are now faced with such situation, you just stand up for yourself. That's what I always do. If I can see that they're taking it for granted that I'm a female, so I always tell my clients that as you walk out, there are plenty of other firms that you're gonna find gentlemen in. So be my guest. If you're not happy receiving legal services from a young female, look for an old man outside that's going to assist you. There's plenty of them.
Oh, speaking of which, what areas of law do you guys practice in?
Everything.
Everything.
Absolutely everything. I'm not yet at a point where I want to specialize. I think I'm too young to specialize. I'm at this point, I want to enjoy the law fraternity in its entirety. I want to have a taste of every possible aspect of the law fraternity. And I think that way I will actually learn and get to understand what it is that I love the most within the law fraternity, because confining your practice to one speciality or two, it's depriving yourself of other things that you might possibly enjoy. So as of a young firm as I am, if I had just confined myself to criminal law, then I wouldn't know what it's like doing divorces. And it's actually very nice. I thought because it's a sensitive topic, I wouldn't like to do it. So I actually grew to realize that it's nice. Yes, it's sensitive and stuff, but everything that happens there, you end up enjoying it. Not just divorce. I had confined myself. I know I had made a vow that I broke, that I would never do a rape case. And as you get those kind of cases, you realize that actually, no, I want this. I want to do this. So I have not yet confined myself to a speciality. I'm doing almost everything that is there. I am also doing conveyancing. We do everything, and we then appoint a conveyancer to lodge at the deeds office, because all you need is software apps to do everything. You draft things yourself and then you instruct. So I'm doing absolutely everything at this point.
And one last one for me is, yes, you say you do everything. You don't specialize as yet. Far too young to do that. But what's your vision for the law firm going forward? Like, where do you want to see your law firm going as far as, I guess?
I have never literally thought about that, hey? I have never. But as expected, I'd like to see it strive to bigger heights. So maybe one day, I don't want it to be a very huge firm, no.
Okay.
But maybe one day I would like to expand on the staff that we have. And that's obviously going to happen with the growth in our clientele, because as we get more work, then there's going to be a need for us to employ more people. Maybe have 2 or 3 branches elsewhere. I am thinking of having a satellite office in Johannesburg. I was thinking of opening another branch in Nongoma, because Nongoma, we usually go there in assisting NATU. NATU is a trade union. It's a union for teachers. Yes, it's a trade union for teachers. So we do some cases assisting them. So some of them take place in Nongoma. And we realize that there are no attorneys in Nongoma at all.
Wow.
As big as Nongoma is, there's not even one single attorney other than legal aid. So I saw a business opportunity there. I have not invested so much into it. So I'm not sure yet whether it's going to materialize to anything. But Nongoma is one of the places where I am looking at branching in. So it's that, Johannesburg. Yeah, I think three branches would do it for me.
I just wanted to know about your work-life balance. Like, how do you balance being at work with your husband, going home with your husband? Does it cause any friction, or is it just, how do you balance it?
Answering the friction question first, it causes none whatsoever. It's actually very nice working with my husband. People assume that at some point you literally get annoyed of each other. You become a nuisance to each other. I wouldn't have married him. I married him making a lifetime commitment to be with him, not on certain hours of the day. We made a vow to be together forever. Forever is 8 to 8 the following morning. So him being in the same office space as I am does not really bother me at all. We have a very good work relationship where we have agreed and to date maintain that when we are at the office, we are not Mr. and Mrs. Zuma. When we are at the office, we are colleagues. So you do your work in your office, I do my work in my office. The office is for work-related things. And when we knock off at 4 and we head home, we are out of the office. So we do not discuss things that happen in the office, no matter the dynamic. So when we are at home, it's now husband and wife time.
Yes.
So it does not affect us in any way. It was a huge blessing for him to actually come on board in the firm, because even with clients that are trying to take advantage of me, clients that somehow do not want to pay fees, so I know that I have him, and he makes sure that they pay. So some of them I cannot fight man to man with, because of gender stereotypes, but having him in the office, I know that everything is at ease. So yeah, it's actually a bliss having him in the firm and at home.
Okay, well, Bonga, do you have anything more to add?
No, nothing further for this witness.
Thank you so much for coming to join us today, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. We've learnt a lot. Well, I have anyways. I don't know about you.
Oh, certainly have, most definitely.
So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I too have learned that there's something called a podcast.
Yes.
Through being here today, and I shall start listening to as many podcasts as possible. Learn a thing or two. It was really an honor being here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And the debt is now fulfilled, so we even now.
So thank you very much for watching, and remember to catch us on all social media, unintentional_podcast.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I don't know.
In your interactions with other people and her, or him,
In general, and life in general. She says that she said it makes me a happier person, in general. So I guess I'm a relationship person.
But don't go jumping into relationships now. I mean, like,
No, of course not.
Get to
I
know
have
a
to.
person
I
first.
have to evaluate. No, I think that's very important. I think for me, this has taught me a lot as well. I think going forward, I would like to have a dating space, because I feel like in my past I've just jumped into relationships. And if you have any questions, of course.
yeah.
Oh, let me ask the usual question.
Sure, go ahead.
Steven, are you guys seriously dating?
Yes, I'm joking. I'm joking. No. It's a good one though. No, we're not.